Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Darren. The arena season has begun and everybody's queuing for arenas as we speak. And I decided to make a video talking about my first impressions of the arenas in World of Warcraft Legion, as it is the first season of Legion PvP. Currently, I am not in the arena, but I really wish I had a team to push some rating with, like a consistent comp that I could play with. Hopefully something that has to do with a Mistweaver and maybe an Affliction Warlock, but you know, I'm not too picky. So I just want to talk a little bit about how rogues are doing in arena, how I feel assassination and subtlety are doing. I want to show you a game of how Outlaw rogue is doing, just to showcase you just how strong it is, as well as talk a little bit about some notable things about some of the other classes from a rogue's perspective, something you should take note of. And I'm going to be doing that in this video. So first thing I want to talk about are the rogues. Let's start with assassination. Assassination was a spec that got a lot of hype, and it lives up to the hype. And I feel like it's worth if you decide to spend all your artifact points into assassination. You made a pretty decent decision. It might not be, I mean, depends how you look at it, but like assassination rogues are doing really well, but like I feel like subtlety is the best spec of them all. But let me take it a bit back, talk a little bit about what assassination is about, then move on to subtlety, and then move on to my main outlaw. And just talk a little bit in detail how it all feels and how it looks like it plays in arenas. I've been playing arenas from an outlaw perspective. I haven't really sat behind assassination or subtlety because the season just started, and maybe if I can get an alt rogue up there with the gear, then I might be able to experience the arenas as assass or subtlety, but we will see. Anyway, assassination currently is solid for PvP arenas. The amount of damage you deal as assassination is pretty up there, and you can simply force pressure, be it cooldowns or trinkets, out of a single enemy simply by sitting on them. Also, if you've seen another video of mine, you can basically vanish and do a triple garrote onto a single enemy, which is very powerful and kind of ridiculous, but you do have a lot of pressure not only from damage but also from the CC you are provided. You're gonna have to play it a bit cheesy, like you have to save that vanish and go for that triple garrote back to back, or even a double garrote. I'm not sure if silence garrote DRs, you guys will let me know in the comments. I haven't got to experiment with. The playstyle of assassination is simply just deal damage and force pressure via damage, and that's really all you do. It's just the more damage you can deal as assass, the better you are off. I feel like it's a pretty simple playstyle because you basically train the target, and the better you can train a target, the better you are off. I mean, the only things that assassination can really do to really, I guess, mess up a whole dynamic of the other team and really be a wrench in the cogwheel is to step kick a healer whenever you see it, or step kick casts, so to interrupt maybe like your healers getting polymorphed and such. So that's something you are going to be on top of. But you're basically almost like a combat rogue or warlord general. You really just sit on a single target and train it to the ground. And that's basically what you do. And don't take it in a bad way either, because I did enjoy the playstyle of a combat rogue back in Warlords. I mean, it was simplified. It wasn't as, I guess, unique or interesting as that of a subtlety with all the cross CC that you're pulling off and the team coordination. And as a combat rogue, you basically train the target. But I still had fun with the abilities you use and the playstyle and how these abilities interact with one another. I, wouldn't give that up. So assassination, I feel like, is pretty solid. It works well with any CC-based classes like mages or shadow priests or maybe even warlocks. Any class that can provide extra CC to you will be able to basically, as the healer is sitting a full CC, the other target is rotting, so somebody has to shrink it and pop defensives or cooldowns in order to be able to survive, and then it just fits so well together. So I feel like it's the easiest spec simply because all you do is train a singular target, and you do get kicks once in a while, but for the most part, you're just trying to layer as much damage on the target. Overall, solid spec. I can't say much about subtlety because it is just good. That's all I can really say. You basically the same playstyle as a rogue warlords, except you have a little bit more reliable burst. You have a lot more sustained damage, but you still are all about CC lineups, and and you have a lot of mobility. There's really not a lot I can say about subtleties because it's that good. There's just nothing notable. It's just overall the most balanced spec in PvP for rogues. And if you're playing subtlety, you probably picked one of the best specs ever. If you like the playstyle or you wanted to play someone viable, subtlety is literally the best option. But now let's talk a little bit about the last spec on the list is the Outlaw Rogue, which is the spec I'm maining, and I actually have a game for you guys just to showcase what am I talking about in terms of Outlaw Rogue potential. This game I am going to slow down, and some of the advantages of playing an Outlaw Rogue I feel like are, first, the buff mechanic gives you different varieties of, I guess, types of damage and types of playstyles that you can have. Like, for example, cooldown reduction is going to be what will be featured here. The cooldown reduction mechanic as an Outlaw Rogue will basically allow me to become a CC god, a singular CC lord. And I know it sounds cheesy, a lord, what do you mean? It's crazy, because basically to win this game, right now we're just peeling world DPS off of our healer, because Demon Hunters and Windwalker Monks are super strong, and based by the enchants that these guys are wearing, they're 2400 players at the very least. And basically we're just trying to survive, and what we're going to be doing is swapping CC onto the rest of Druid while trying to kill the Demon Hunter. Single-handedly as an Outlaw Rogue, I'm able to use the artifact weapon in conjunction together with a cooldown reduction to stun the Druid with basically a ranged kidney, build combo points to stun the Druid again for half the duration, force a trinket out of him as the Demon Hunter is going down simply through my burst and the rotting damage of an Affliction Warlock, swap the damage onto the Druid while keeping repose so I cannot be stunned by the Demon Hunter, literally cancelling out his metamorphosis, and then as the Druid gets away, about to cast a heal onto the Demon Hunter, without a trinket, I blind him, stun the Demon Hunter who doesn't have any DRs on stuns, and finish him off. There was a mix of burst, there was a mix of CC, there's this weird cooldown reduction mechanic that allowed me to get between the eyes back up faster. There's just a lot of things going on the screen compared to what a combat rogue was at one point. Long story short, all three specs of rogue are doing pretty well in arenas in my own opinion. And no matter what spec you're playing, you'll find a comp that you can play, or you'll find a playstyle that you enjoy. So I feel like there's just a lot, there's just such different playstyles altogether, and it's like they're similar, like, yeah, you're a rogue and all of you have kicks and all of you are all about stuns for the most part, but it's like the way you execute it really does rely with your spec. So each spec, and I feel like almost each comp with a chosen spec of rogue will be played slightly differently, like the actual strategy will be alternated. So it's kind of exciting just to be able to play a comp as an Outlaw Rogue, or even just think about ideas of like how a subtlety would do it, or how would an assassination rogue do it, and then find different class combinations that would work well together. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about rogues. I guess some of the other notes about some of the other classes, what I noticed are druids are doing okay. Boomkin druids are, most of the casters in general are pretty strong, but some casters get completely locked down when a melee is sitting on them. Currently, I feel like most cleaves, which is just like double melee of any sort, are doing really well in arenas right now. Most casters are doing alright. I feel like priests, I don't see enough priests out there. I see a lot of resto shamans. I see a decent amount of resto druids. I see a good amount of holy paladins in the game. And I feel like Mistweaver monks might literally be the best healers in the game currently. Some of the other DPS to take note of, I don't see a lot of Frost Death Knights, not as much as I should. I see a lot of Windwalker Monks. I see a lot of Demon Hunters, of course. In terms of warriors, you don't see any Fury warriors, but I guess it makes sense. There's a few arms warriors, but not as many as I would hope. Hunters, there's either playing Beastmaster or Marksmanship. So the amount of comps that you can have with these different specializations are pretty thin. Also, at very much earlier MMR, you can see a lot of triple DPS comps, and some of these triple DPS comps are actually viable simply because damage dealers right now are able to deal so much damage to train through a healer and turn a fight into a 3v3 into a 3v2, with them having slight advantage. The defensive cooldowns for just about every class are pretty decent. Like, for example, Enhancement Shaman getting trained is much more difficult in Legion than, let's say, in Warlords General to train down an Enhancement Shaman as 2 DPS, for example. And it's just like, there's just so many combinations, and it's going to take some time adjusting to it, but yeah, I'm currently having a lot of fun, and I actually can't wait to get back into the arena. So I'm looking for a team comp. It doesn't even have to be a good team comp, but something that will be able to stick with and learn all the new things of Legion, and hopefully push rating, because I'm really feeling optimistic about pushing rating as an Outlaw Rogue. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. What do you think about the rogue specs and arenas? And I'll see you guys in the next video.